Hello everybody and welcome to a little exploring a Call of Duty multiplayer map video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Black Ops 2 launch map called Raid. There's some pretty interesting stuff on this map, so let's hop into it and see what we can find. So I'm sure everybody who's played Call of Duty in the last 10 years is very familiar with Raid. It's one of the best maps not only in Black Ops 2 but in all of Treyarch Call of Duty. So it's going to be interesting to see some of the closer and finer details that are hidden along this map, because I believe that there is an interesting little story going on here, and the name of the map, Raid, will kind of give us a hint as to what's really going on this classic mansion map. Alright, so I wanted to start this map's story at the opening part of the map, because this is where we can start to get our first inclination that something is going on here. So what is the name of the map? The name of the map is called Raid, and that is exactly what this map is all about. It's about a raid on this exquisite mansion property up in the California hills. So let's do a little bit of detective work and look at all the details as we go around the map and try to see if we can piece together the story of what's really going on here. So the map starts off with the drive up to the mansion itself. We have the streets, the winding turns that lead up to here, and obviously the biggest thing that we will all notice here is that the guards and the things that block in cars from entering or exiting a property are up, and two vehicles have crashed and exploded onto the scene. And as we can see right here, there's some bullet shell casings, lots and lots of bullet shell casings, and there is in fact an indication that if we look at the ground here, got some bullet holes here, it appears that whoever was driving onto the property, which I'm guessing are going to be some of the vehicles that we find down there, perhaps this van right here, whoever was coming onto the property came in quick, because this was going to be a raid on this house here. For what they were coming in to raid, well, we'll get into that a little bit later. So obviously people who were raiding this facility, whether it be the police or private military or whoever, clearly they came in hot and they bust in while the security of this map were caught off guard. And then I believe a huge firefight broke out from all the defensive positions here, and whoever was guarding this house just started laying into these guys who were invading the property and raiding it. As we can see here, it looks like from the way the tire tracks are screeched around, if we look around in this area here, there seems to be an indication that cars were driving around in a circle here. And if we see from the bullet holes around this area and this blood splatter here, it gives me the impression that there were guards most likely standing in and around this area here. This could be from guards shooting at the oncoming cars that were raiding the premises here. Some bullet holes here. It seems that whoever was screeching around and driving around in a circle around the property were firing into this circular area here. Guards were most likely standing around this area, you know, patrolling the outside of the mansion, and most likely they were taking on fire, getting hit. It seems that many guards were standing in defensive positions here, and they were firing on the oncoming vehicles that were going around in a circle here, and vehicles that were entering other parts of the property. So basically, this whole opening part here is just utter chaos. There's just bullets flying in every direction. Most likely the people that were raiding the mansion here were also taking shots from the moving vehicles. I mean, as we can see here, it is absolutely obvious that a crazy firefight was going on in this area here. So let's follow the tracks here and see if we can find out who went where and for what they were going for. So we see a lot of bullet holes from this area as well, and lots of tracks here. Now, what I think is if we can look at some of the tracks in this empty spot right here where a car would be, what I think is most likely a possibility is that when the raid started, or maybe at some other point during the raid, because as we can see here, bullet shells, the tires are screeching. It looks like 3 different ones, so possibly cars were going in multiple directions. We'll get into that in a little bit. But it looks like guards were taking positions here as cars were coming down from here. They were riding into this area right here, and they were definitely trying to push in and kill as many people that were defending and holding out in this mansion as humanly possible. And as we can see here, there's two sets of tracks, I believe, because obviously no car has three wheels. We have these two sets right here, and then we have this and this one in the middle. This one and this one. So that gives me the indication that possibly after the vehicles had pushed in here at one point, another one, after the raid began, somebody who was in the mansion took one of the cars and attempted to escape, most likely driving in this direction, but after the guards had already put up this barrier here, they realized that they were trapped, and after these vehicles crashed in, so they circled around in their car after they were trying to escape, and then the car ended up right here. As you can see, the tracks stop right in this position. So this car, I believe, was over in the garage over there and is the missing car from that big highlighted spot right there in the center. I believe that was the car that was taken, and it was trying to get out of there in a hurry, but it ended up getting trapped in the circular drive up. So let's take a little bit closer look into this area here. Doesn't seem that anything too crazy was going on. Perhaps somebody was in here working out, so the dumbbells are kind of like just placed haphazardly. And I think that either they heard the gunfire, they dropped the dumbbells, and like, oh no, and they probably ran in here. The door seems to be open to this area right here, and they most likely ran and got into the car that was in this area right here, and they were the one that attempted to drive off and get out of there. So now we know the story of what happened in the opening parts of the map. We know that gunfire was being shot from the cars and at the cars that were driving around this area here. And I'm pretty sure that we can at least assume that this van was probably a part of the raiding party, because it most likely, when they realized that they had gotten over there, they drove back around, because there's two sets of tire tracks here. They came and stopped into this position right here. As we can see, lots of bullet holes, lots of shells, and lots of shells right here. So it's probably that the people got out of the van, came out right here, and started firing at whoever was right here, in this position right here. And as we can see, the bullet holes have shattered this window here. So let's take a look up in this room. So it's pretty evident from what we see here is that this glass was shattered inwards. So obviously whoever was defending the house, I'm going to call them the guards, I'm going to say that they were in this upper room right here, and then they might have seen out the windows or saw out the windows, and whoever got out of this van here quickly jumped out and just started firing and spraying in a crazy pattern, knocking out both that window and that one as well. So let's move in and start getting a better sense of what the people that were raiding this house were actually here for. So if we come around to this area, things seem to be pretty clean. There doesn't seem to be any bullet holes or shells in this area right here. And let's go around this side here, because it all leads back to one specific room on this map. We see here that there's a bucket right here, some flyers thrown about, and some bullet holes here. So I believe that after the van drove into this area right here, we see the tires screech and it stops right about here, because there's two sets of tracks. I believe it stops right about here. The van initially parks here, men get out, and they start making their way this way to get a flanking position on the people who were most likely defending in that building there. So they come around here, most likely somebody who was probably washing the wall right here, caught off guard, they started to fall back, and that's when the bullets started flying. Let's see if we can see any shell casings from this position here. It's quite possible that whoever was coming around here caught whoever was near this bucket off guard. Started firing upon this wall right here, moving up into this room right here. Doesn't seem to be anything out of place in this position, so it's possible that they fired at this wall right here, and the person who was standing right here was possibly firing back, or perhaps they were standing and leaning around this corner as they were chasing whoever was standing here back. So they came up, They started firing. The person rushed around the corner right here, and this is where we can see all of the bullet holes and all the damage going on right here. And from the position of these shots, it could be ricochets, or it could be bullets coming from another direction. And we're going to circle around on the other side in a little bit to find out what happened. So it's possible that the men were pushing in from this position, firing in here, and that's why we have all of these bullets on this inner area here. It's also quite possible that these holes right here are from ricocheting shots from this circular pillar. As we can see here, things were definitely caught off guard and done in quite a hurry. As we move back around here, we see some strewn about papers. We have a wine bottle. Maybe somebody was in this pool when all the shooting started happening. And we take a look in here. Plate was smashed. Things were dropped. Fruit's going everywhere. So anybody that was in here, possibly serving drinks, most likely started to drop their stuff and try to get out of here in a panic when all the bullets and the guns started shooting. So we move back around here. Somebody was obviously sunbathing while this was all happening, as we can take a look over here. Now let's see. Now this area is very, very interesting, because I'm going to say that this was not the final stand of whoever was defending the house. I think that one of the people who was guarding this place, possibly taking positions right here, they were shooting at whoever was approaching them. Maybe people who approached from that side were pushing onto them here. And that begs the question, if these are the shell casings of the people who were defending the house, then how did these bullet holes get here? How did the bullet holes get into this position as well? Well, as we can see here, the door is open right here. So you know what I believe? I believe that one team of the raiding party went around that side of the map, and another team of the raiding party came from this side right here. And when the guards who were defending this position right here turned around and noticed that they were being flanked from both sides, that's when all hell broke loose. And as you can see, it's just an absolute carnage fest. So many bullet holes and so many casings. Look back around here. Seems to be a surveillance area, a security room, possibly a power area, and the door is open. So what I believe is that the security team, or whoever was raiding this house, came in from both directions. And as we can see here, the floor has been torn up, possibly grenades have been thrown, bullets have been flying everywhere. People who were on this side were also defending against the people who pushed up. And most likely this is another vehicle that the raiders used to push up as well. They probably scurried around to this area right here where the skid marks stop. They let out some guys, and the guys started pushing out of the vehicle in here. And I believe these bullet holes were from the defending party, shooting this direction, spraying along all this area here. Possibly a grenade was thrown over this wall right here, or maybe a flashbang to discombobulate all who were defending on this side. So we're starting to get a clear picture that whoever was raiding this house, they were going in from both sides, going in that way to prevent anyone from trying to escape from the garage, and possibly going around on this side as well in two separate teams to get to that power room over there. Now, why would they want to do that? Well, we're going to go into the center building in just a little bit to see what we can find. As we can see here, this window is open. See if there's any destroyed glass or anything. There doesn't appear to be. It's possible that this is not a glass window. Maybe it wasn't installed, because there appears to be a lot of construction equipment. Maybe the house, maybe this area was still being built. Maybe there was some renovations being done. It's possible. So what is the point of the raid? What was the point of ransacking this house, and what was the point of getting back into this building over here to shut down the power that was, funding the mansion? Well, if we take a look around here, more evidence, we see some guarding equipment. It's possible that this is also an indication that the house was under renovation. So they probably chose a time when a lot of renovation was being done on the house to catch whoever was living here off guard, so they would be, a little, not as on point with security. So as we can see here, lots and lots of bullet holes, crashed, broken plates, and gunfire from this position. There doesn't appear to be any bullet holes here, so it's possible that these were firing from this direction, or perhaps they were firing inwards. And this right here, once again, another safe, much like on the map Hijacked, if you haven't seen my video explaining that map, this is a similar story going on here, where whoever was raiding this building were obviously raiding for a very important purpose. And I think that this time it was not done by a private military corporation. I believe that this time, the map that we are on right here was most likely being raided by the United States, either police or perhaps a government agency. Because as we can see in here, this is where everything converges into this one spot. We see the broken glass right here. The glass has been shattered in. So after the two teams, coming from this side and coming from this side, they finally met and converged here. They started to fire up into this window because whoever was staying at this mansion fled and fell back into this safe area. And as we take a look, all these bullet holes were most likely being fired into the room. As we can see here, there is clearly, without a doubt, a lot of damning evidence as to what was going on here. So as we take a look here, we see some Scorpion logos on some bags here, possibly some cocaine, lots and lots of cocaine, some baggies, maybe some heroin. So obviously, and tons and tons and tons of cash. So most likely, I believe that this house was a drug peddling operation being done by Cortes Dia, and they were using whoever lived here to distribute the drugs to make money to fuel their private military terroristic organization. And the United States government catched on to this, and they sent the police to perform a raid to cut off not only the supply of the drugs here, but to arrest any and all those who were involved in this conspiracy. So I think that that's a pretty good explanation and evidence of the story going on this map. I think if we look at all the details and all the evidence, it's pretty clear, judging from these vehicles here, that the police definitely used some civilian-looking vehicles initially, and then once things started getting pretty crazy, they sent in backup. But by that time, whoever was in control of the security of the mansion probably popped up these guards, and these secondary vehicles crashed and exploded. So I think that we can definitely say that this was a raid done by the American government against a Cortes Dia drug peddler, and I think that that is the scenario that we act out in the multiplayer. So whether it's done by CIA or whether it's done by ATF or anything, I think that it was an American raid on a corrupt billionaire who was working to sell drugs and generate profits for Cortes Dia. So if you enjoyed this little exploring and detective work on this map, be sure to subscribe and give the video a like, and give me suggestions on other maps that we can take a look at and see some hidden details that we probably never noticed before.